In this video, we'll add the attack logic to our AI enemy. A quick recap of where we stopped in the last video. I'm going to press play. And we have our alien woman, which is our enemy, just roaming around the world, picking up a point, going to the point, and then select a different point. And we can pretty much pass in front of it and nothing happens. So now we're going to add the logic to if the player gets into the field of view of our enemy, the enemy goes after the player, and if it gets too close, it attacks the player. And we'll start by doing one quick correction from what we did in the last video, and we need to change the minimum distance to a point from 3 to 0.1 again. Otherwise, the attack logic won't work properly. So start with that, and then I'm going to go to Visual Studio, and I'm going to add it to my enemy navigation script. And I'll start by adding the variables that I'm going to need to field of view and attacking. Okay, and I'll start by adding a private transform target, which is going to reference the game object the enemy will be attacking. Then a couple of private floats. First one, find target repeat time, and I'm going to look for a target every half second. Then I'm going to add an attack range float, which should start with, say, 9. Then a couple more floats. First one is the view radius, and I'm gonna set it for 90 degrees for starters, and actually that's the radius, not the angle. The radius is going to be 9, and the angle, that one's going to be 90. Okay, perfect. Then I will need this one. I don't need to see in the editor, but I need to keep the current private float current find target time, and 2 more player mask variables. One is the player mask, and the other one is going to be an obstacle mask, and we'll understand in a second what these will do. Okay, great. Now to continue, I'm gonna get to my update, and the first thing I'm gonna do in my update is, actually first on start, I'm gonna set my current find target time to 0. And in my update, first thing is I'm going to increment my current find target time with time delta time, and if this is bigger or equal than my find target repeat time, then that means that it's time to find a target, and I'm going to start by resetting my current find target time, and then I'm going to call a function called find target, which doesn't exist yet, and right after that I'm going to call attack target, which doesn't exist as well. Now I'm going to go to the bottom of my script, and I'm going to add the find target function, which is void, and the attack target function. Let's leave them empty for now, because first I'm going to create a function that will check if I'm actually seeing the player, and I'm going to call it find visible targets. So this one, let's just add a return null to the end to clear up the error. And then I'm going to start with an array of colliders. Let's call it targets in view radius. And here I'm going to call a physics dot overlap sphere. And the first parameter is the position, which is the position of my game object itself. Then the radius, which is my view radius, and finally the mask that is going to be used to find objects, and that's going to be the player mask. So here in a recap, I'm looking for objects that fall within this layer mask that are on a radius of view radius from my own position. Now I'm going to iterate over these results, and I'm gonna have here transform target, which is the current transform I'm iterating over. I'm going to forgot a dot length here. I'm going to calculate a direction vector to my target, which is going to be my position. Take away, the target position, take away my position, and I'm going to normalize it because I don't want the magnitude of this vector, I just want the direction. And why I'm doing that? Because I now need to check if the vector triangle of my position, actually my transform dot forward, so the angle between my transform dot forward and the direction to target vector, if this is smaller than my view angle divided by 2. And why we're dividing this by 2? Because if I'm looking forward and I have a view angle of 90 degrees, that means that I'm looking 45 degrees to the right and 45 degrees to the left. So this angle is going to be, if this angle is less than 45, that means that the target is within my view angle. Doesn't matter if it's left or right. So that's why we're dividing by 2. So recapping what we did so far. If we have a player within range and this player is within my view angle, then I'm going to get a distance to target float, which is just vector 3 distance between my own position and the target position. And why I'm doing that? Because now, finally, the last check I need to do is, because so far I checked if the player's in my range and if it is within my view angle, but now I also need to check if I can see it. Because right now the player is in my range, is in my view angle, but I'm not sure if there's, say, a wall between us. So I need to do one last raycast, and that's why we created the obstacle mask on the top. So I'm going to do one last raycast from my transform position towards the target's position with a length of distance to target and with an obstacle mask. And here I've added a knot to the front. So if this raycast doesn't hit anything, that means that the player is in range and I can see it. So I'm going to return the target. Otherwise, if anything fails, I'm just going to return no. Great. So now that we did all the raycast and visibility logic, now we can go back to our find target function, and on find the target, I'm going to set my class variable target to the return of find visible targets. And if target is not null, meaning if I, the AI enemy, can see a target, then I need to set up a new path to the target. I'm walking to a path I was walking. I'm going to drop that and I'm going to go towards the player. So I'm going to create a new nav mesh path. Ask my agent to calculate the path to the position of my target and store it in this path variable. Reset the counter for my iteration. My agent is no longer stopped. And I need to set my animation and speed to run, because now I'm no longer walking, I'm running towards my target. And on my attack target function, I'm going to check if target is null. I simply return, I do nothing. Or if the distance between my target and myself is less or equal than the attack range, then I'm going to attack. For now, I'm just simply going to add a debug log just to make sure that the logic is working. Just attack. So we already did, let's just go back to our update and double check. We already calling find target and attack target, so hopefully this will work. Let's go back to Unity and we're going to see our new variables here on the enemy navigation script. We need to set the player mask, and for that I got to go to my player. I'm going to create a new layer. We already have the ground layer. I'm going to create a player layer and set it on my player and on its children. Back to the alien woman. Our player mask is set to player. Let's leave our obstacle mask to nothing. For now, I'll just check if this is working. So here we are. Where is our enemy? There it is. It is walking. I'm going to get into its field of view, and now it's running towards me. There you go. I'm going to increase its speed because I am running faster than it is, so it's not much of a challenge. But if it gets on me, I get the attack. Awesome. Let's increase its run speed from 2 to 4, maybe. Let's check. Press play. And where is our enemy? There it is. I'm gonna run. It's better. Okay, cool. So if I get out of its field of view, it doesn't attack me anymore, but it's working. Fantastic. Great. So we have our AI enemy ready. What I'm going to do now is just create a prefab out of it, which I haven't done so far. Let's why don't we rename it to enemy? There you go. Rename the prefab as well. Cool. So now we have our enemy ready.